Hello. I noticed there is a big MBTI community on YouTube, and I noticed in a lot of the comments, people get a lot of excitement over trying to figure out what someone is. And so I was like, well, I just dove into the community recently, and I took a few different tests, and most of them tell me that I'm ENTP, but I just want to make sure because you can't trust those tests, right? And so I've been largely focusing on cognitive functions, and it's complicated stuff, especially intuition. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about myself and where I struggle a little bit with the cognitive functions and how they relate to ENTP and how that relates back to me. Um, so let's just get started. Um, as you can see, I'm to the point. I think it's really annoying when people aren't. Um, I One of my biggest pet peeves is if you're talking with someone and you're on a roll and you're going back and forth, like ideas, it's a good time and you have like it's focused, right? And I like that. I love talking with people and it's focused. And then let's say I mumble something and it's just not clear enough to my I said almost a sparring partner, but my the person that I'm talking to, and then they go, uh, "What?" And then you repeat it, and they go, "Oh my god, I thought that you said this." That's so funny because and I get so annoyed because I'm like, no, I didn't say that. It's not that funny. Like, it's not funny that you thought that I said that. Like, unless it was like a really funny mix up in their head. Like, I don't know. Like, I said, let's go to the beach, and they thought I said, let's go get smashed or something. Like, that's kind of funny. But if it's more just like, oh, I thought you said like this, which is illogical, I'm like, that's really, let's get back on topic. Um, which is very funny because I have a short attention span. So I jump from idea to idea. If I get excited by something, by an idea, and it's like it's a chock full little nugget of an idea, and I can see it, and I'm like, oh, I gotta tease that apart. I gotta explore that. Then I will have 50 billion tabs open, and because I'll be focused on one, and then that'll cause me to think of something else, and I'll open another one, and I'll leave the other one open because I'm like, I'll come back to it, I promise. But then you're focused on this, and then that one thinks another one, and before long, you've just got so many open. You didn't want that because that's just a lot, and then at some point I have to go back and like clean, and I'm like, okay, do I really still care about this information? No, I'm gonna get rid of it now. And so that's kind of how I operate. Yeah, so hopefully you've gleaned something from that. Um, Something that I really struggle with with typical ENTP descriptions is that ENTPs love to debate, and I do, but I wouldn't play devil's advocate unless I was told to do so in a class or something, which I would love it. If the teacher was like, okay, we're going to do a debate in class, and you're going to argue for this side. I'd be like, okay, I don't actually believe that, but I would love to argue it because it's fun to debate. But, and this is a big but, I wouldn't play devil's advocate in my spare time. So if I was talking with a friend, like my best friend is INFP, and she totally is, and debates stress her out, and so I just don't. And it wouldn't make sense for me to argue something that I don't believe. Like, that's prioritizing having fun debating over finding the truth. And I think I much more highly value finding the truth because there are so many different truths to find, right? Like, why would you waste time arguing, which I love. I love debating. I love arguing, and I want to do it a lot. But it's for the sake of discovering truth. It is That's why I do it. And I love doing it. I love the process. I love the process of discovering truth. That's what gets me jazzed. That's what I love. But I would never waste time like dicking around, playing devil's advocate, unless I was told to by a teacher, which I would then really enjoy doing because I love the process. So that's that. And I mentioned that my friend is INFP. And I wonder if she has helped me develop my FE, because I am very in tune with other people's emotions. Um, I'm really good with children. I've always been really good with children. I have been a camp counselor for a long time, and I'm really freaking good at it because I pay special attention to the kids, and I want to make sure that they're okay, and I know how to make them happy. And I think that that's more FE. From what I've gathered, FEs are actually better at making people feel better. They know what to do to make people feel better. Um, and I can do that with people that aren't children as well. I'm good at making people feel better. And I know what to do to make people feel better, even if I don't know them very well. Um, and I don't know what I'm basing that on. I don't know if that's basing that subconsciously, like on subjective experiences, or if I can just kind of know. I don't know. But yeah, and here I go jumping to another idea. I'm good at acting. I'm really good at acting. I've always acted really well, and you obviously don't know that. You could think that I'm bragging with no grounding, but I'm really good at acting, and I love it. I love acting. My favorite part of singing on stage, I'm also a singer. My favorite part of singing is emoting, and what I love to do about that is keep an audience engaged. I love that. So if I want to be so engaging emotionally that my audience members won't look away, right? I get really annoyed when people don't pay attention to me when I want them to. So if I am up on stage, my whole objective is for you to be looking at me. And if you're not, that means that I've failed. That is not, I would not place the blame on the audience members at all, right? That means that I have failed as a performer. And so that has helped me. So I think about, when I look in the audience, I think, however consciously or subconsciously, I think, what do they want to see? They want to see the most engaging performer up there. And I love that. I love that. And that's what makes me good at public speaking as well, because I know what not to do. I know, right? Like if I'm giving a presentation, I know not to stare at my notes, and I know to look in people's eyes, and I know to keep things very simple. And I can condense a lot of information into really simple points for the sole purpose of engaging and educating by engaging. Because if people aren't engaged, they're not going to learn, right? So you have to first and foremost grab people's eyes and keep them engaged. I really value that. I don't know if that's an ENTP thing. If it's something else, let me know. So there's that. Moving on, introverted versus extroverted, right? And I know that ENTPs are the least conventionally extroverted MBTI types, right? I've learned that all over the place. And so I think that this is fairly cut and dry. I do like being with people, but I get bored and drained if people are boring, which means going to parties, like typical parties is not my favorite thing to do, because people are boring, and I recognize how condescending that sounds. It really does. But people, I don't know. I don't like small talk. Drains me. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that's an ENTP thing, but small talk drains me. It is annoying. And so I have a little tier of places that I would go on a date. My ideal place to go would be someplace that I'd never been before, that had a lot of different things to experience. So like maybe like a convention, or like if I could go to a foreign country, like there'd be so many things to do. Every corner would have something interesting, but I'm not a planner, so traveling is tricky for me in that I love it. I love all of the newness, right? And so I think that's my NE, is just like look at all of this like new stuff and like, oh my god, this is making me think of this and like, wow, cool. But I don't plan. When I was abroad, luckily I had some other friends who were really good at planning, and they would be like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? Like, and I wish that I felt like that. I wish that I had the drive to think like ahead and be like, yes, we should do this, this, and this. But I'm like, oh no, like anything will be fun because everything will be new. So it doesn't matter. And that gets me, obviously that gets me into trouble. Obviously, because if I were to travel by myself, I wouldn't see half as many things as I should because I just don't have the foresight. I don't like, I'm just too flexible and I just don't care enough. So in that way, I'm definitely not I'm just not a planner. So there's that. So somehow I ended up in travel plan. Oh, okay. So that's my ideal. I think this is answering my question, quite honestly. But, so I ended up so that's my ideal would be to go play somewhere I've never been for, like a culture festival or something, right? Like I get excited just thinking about that. Like that sounds amazing. Second favorite place would be interviewing someone. So this is like asking people questions about themselves, getting to know them on a really deep and intricate level. I want to know what makes them tick. I want to know the driving forces behind their actions. Because I don't like when I don't know something. I love knowing things. I want to know everything about the world. That's why I like psychology a lot. I want to know why people work the way they do. What are the driving forces behind their actions? So if I can sit down and interview someone or put on a psych study, I would put those two in the same, or learn about psych. Just anything about learning about why people do the things they do, why they act the way they do. Like getting to the root causes of human behavior, whether that's on an individual interviewing journalistic kind of basis or psychology textbooks or field studies, anything. I love getting to know why people work the way they do. It makes me feel comfortable to know things. If I'm ever out and about and I don't know something, like my INTP friend who's very like kind of dreamy, she'll be like, oh, I wonder why like this. And I'm like, well, let's look it up. I'm like, that's a good question. Let's look it up. And if I do the same thing, if I think of something like, why is the sky blue? I will look it up because I want to know, because it makes me feel content to know things. It makes me feel content to be able to check off something in my external environment and be like, yep, I understand that. I understand that. That's what I enjoy doing. It makes me feel very, very satisfied to understand things. Okay. And let's talk about thought process. Right. So this is how someone would solve a problem, how they would approach something, and so this is how I approach a problem or a question. Say how I approach a question. Like, so let's say what makes a book effective or what makes a book successful, right? So let's say someone asks me the question, what do you think makes Twilight so fucking successful? Well, I would say, having read it, I do turn to my subjective experience. This is important. This is not, I guess this isn't super like NE, but I would think back to my own reading of Twilight, and I would think, why did I like it? Right? And so I would go, what did I enjoy? I would sift through the book, and I would go, what did I enjoy the most? Where did I derive the most pleasure from reading the book? Why did I move on to the sequel? And this was a long time ago, mind you. I was a Twihard way back in middle school when it started. I was a Twilight hipster, but I've since learned my lesson. But, okay, I go back and I put aside all of those judgments, right? I'm like, I know that Twilight is objectively bad and just bad, and so I put that off to the side, and I go back to my middle school brain, and I think, what did I enjoy about it then? What kept me going to the second, to the third, and the fourth book, and eating them up, and gobbling down all the Twilight books? I think I'm like, Okay. Um, what did I like about Edward Cullen? I liked the fact that he was so protective over Bella, and I liked um, the fact that he was kind of like obsessed with her. And then I'm like, and I don't judge that. I'm like, I accept that for what it is, and I'm like, okay, that's what I liked about it. And then I take those things and I try to see if they're applicable to the world around me. And I'm like, why would those things be like accurate? And so I go, well, women want men whose attention is completely focused on them, evolutionary speaking, because if the men are like obsessed with them or very into them, they are more likely to stay with them through pregnancy, through childbirth, through child rearing. Like they would want to see that child grow, and they would want to take care of the woman, which is evolutionary what we want. And so then I take that information that I've validated my experiences with that information, and I then look at other successful novels. I would look at romance novels, like really successful that are similar, and I would look at like Pride and Prejudice, 50 Shades of Grey, and I would make connections between like those three books. I would say, okay, so what are the connections between these three successful books? Brooding guy, rich guy, guy who's really, really into the girl, but he's stoic and doesn't show it super well. And then I would like to know, like, why do girls like that, right? And again, I would go back into evolutionary behavior and psychology. And then I would say, and so that would be like my whole thought process. And then I would take all of that and give it back to the person that asked the question and said this. And then they'd be like, well, what can we do to make another novel? And I would say, we just take all the things that made those three successful and apply it to a new one. Is that I mean, that's probably a common thought process though, right? I don't know. So that, and maybe there'd be a better question to look at. Like if I didn't have any subjective experience with something, how would I approach a problem? That's something that I'll have to think about a little bit. And I can come back to that. I'm almost done. My last thing, oh no, that was it. I think that's good for now. I don't know if movie preference helps anything, but my three favorite movies are Lost in Translation, Spirited Away, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I don't know why, and I'll probably analyze why now, because now I want to know. So I think they all have very complicated, nuanced characters and immersive, unique, undiscovered worlds. Yeah. Okay. So let me know if you think that I'm ENTP. If not, let me know what you think I am, and have a reason. Don't just say, well, I think you're INTJ. Let me know why, so that I can look into it and assess. Okay, thank you. Bye!